Hello everybody, Gisele Grenier here. Oh, okay, it's getting a little hard even with the AC to, to do these videos. I think this is going to be the last one for today. I had done one in particular where I used liquid glass. I completely did the project, finished recording it, everything, and I realized I omitted a big step. So hopefully I'm not going to screw up in this video. In this particular lesson, I'm taking an inspiration from my friend Susan and an inspiration from something that my friend Allison sent me. And I'm not going to use the actual product, it's more of an inspiration. And you guys know that well, my regular followers know, two people don't. I received a serious injury when doing yoga and some country line dancing. So I've almost quadrupled my meditation to help with pain management. I'm doing laser therapy right now, which seems to be working. But I do a lot of meditation, and one of the things that I've used, and I can't believe I haven't done this already, was to basically show you how to create a meditation stone. And it's not so much a fancy woo-woo type of thing. It's just something that you can hold in your hand, keep it in your pocket, or anytime you feel distracted, you even just touch it, or just put it on the table and you just look at it for 30 seconds, and it just helps you refocus. So on the table, I just want to show you that I've got a tiny little stone here, which would be perfect for this. But basically, just to save time, I've already prepared the stones in steps. Using a Decor Media white gesso, basically wash the stone, scrub it really, really hard, rinse it, and then let it air dry. It starts off like this. Then with the one coat of gesso, it's like this. Then you let it dry. Then you add another coat of gesso, it'll be like this, and then you let it dry. Also, if you've painted some stones and you didn't like what you did, you can basically just recover them. Don't throw them away, just recover them. You can see that this here, the paint was blue, so that's one coat. Sorry, that's one, two, that's three coats, and then that's another, that's four. Sorry, let me try that again. One coat of gesso, two coats of gesso over a painted stone, that's three coats of gesso, and then four coats of gesso. And ideally you want it to be like this. And with stones, you'll have the cracks that you can work with, but this is a little bit bigger than, this is perfect for a little meditation stone. This is like super flat. I want to be very careful with this one. So, but nice stone like this, and you can put them in your garden if you want. So my idea for the pulling of the inspiration was from this napkin that Allison sent me, and I love the look of this. And although I probably could collage this onto the stone, depending, I mean, this is going to be abandoned art where I'm going to package it up, not sign it, and just leave it out for somebody to find. I don't know what they're going to do with it, so I'm going to paint it just to be safe. And to paint it, I'm going to be using the Decor Media Fluid Acrylics. And in saying that, you know what? I'm so stupid. I'm going to create another project, and I'm going to use the paper for collage. And then I'm going to put it in the garden, because that's how I did an experiment last year. I painted a little seascape on a stone, and I left it out in the wintertime where snow was covering it. Basically, I'm treating it like crap. Nothing's chipped. The paint hasn't chipped. I really should show you guys on camera. It's in perfect condition. You'd never know it went through winter, a hailstorm, rainstorm, freezing, and all that stuff. I have to show you that. So I'll do another project with the paper, but this is going to be my inspiration. And so for the paints, Decor Media Fluid Acrylics, Phthalo Green Blue, Ultramarine Blue, Quinacridone Magenta, Naphthol Red Light, Hansa Yellow Medium. As opposed to the other video where all the colors leaned towards the blue-greens, this one also leans more towards the blue-violets and the warmer tones. So this is the phthalo green that leans towards blue. Ultramarine blue leans towards violet. This is quinacridone magenta, which is a red that leans towards violet. Naphthol red light is a red that leans towards orange. And Hansa Yellow medium is also a red that leans towards orange. These are opposite on the color wheel from each other. And the naphthol red light is an iffy because I like cadmium red light, but that's kind of toxic if you sand it. And then I'm going to work with some of these metallics for an effect I'm trying to get. I don't know if it's going to work, but I have another video planned with an alternative technique. Champagne gold and splendid gold, dazzling metallics. And then when everything is done and dry, I'm going to be sealing it with the Americana Duraclear High Gloss Indoor Outdoor Varnish, and the stone is going to look wet. That's the key. And that as soon as I looked at the varnish, I said, I don't know what the people are going to do if I used the paper. I thought, oh, you're such an idiot. You're going to be varnishing anyways. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's the prep of the stone that it's really important. So I'm going to put everything out on the palette. And the idea that I have for this is basically a watercolor styled washed background. And you need very little paint. A very loose watercolor wash background. And then when everything's dry, I'm going to sketch out a daisy, because we have an abundance of daisies up in the sports field here. And I'm going to sketch that. And then what I'm going to do, I'm probably going to like it the way it is. Then I want to apply some of the metallic paint to the daisy, trying to get the closest match to basically a white and yellow center. So when I put the gloss on it, it's still going to give that shimmer. So it's going to, that highlight is, and when you look at stuff that's metallic, not everywhere, but just a small focused area, you really look at it and it helps with focus. All right, so I've got my bubbly water. I've got everything over there because I'm recording audio on my laptop, so I have all the wet stuff over here, and it's really hard to reach. So let me put these over here. I'm going to spray a little bit of water, and I'm going to spray the stone, and just to help it flow. Now what I like to do is I like to go from one part of the color wheel down. I won't go yellow, then blue, then red, then green, because then all the colors together wet will, depending on like the green and red, will create chromatic black. So I like to work the light and then work dark, and that way the colors blend naturally well together. So I'm going to start here, and I will go right around the stone. When I finish the stones, I'll put a piece of tape and then paint the backside a solid color, but I like to have a nice trim on there. And you can make this as washy as you want. So I'll come in just like that. And I'll rinse the brush. And I get a paper towel. And this is a super fast little project. It's great for really anybody to do. Then spray a bit more water. A little bit of naphtha red light. And we'll just touch it here. Whoops. Bit of a spray. Let it bloom out. Rinse that. Then come in with Quinacridone Magenta. This is super, super strong. It's light, just a bit. Let's put a little bit there. And the thing is you just let it bloom. Now where it's touching the yellow, purple and yellow are opposite on the color wheel. This is more on the red side. You just got to be careful on how much you play with it. Trying to get that to fall down. Now I'm loving that crack that's there. I'm loving that. You could also let the stone dry, then apply another layer, almost like a tie-dye. I want to take advantage of that crack. Okay. Then we'll go to the blue. Now the blue is a blue that leans towards violet. I need a bit of water in there. Now, any thoughts about why I'm actually not using watercolor paint? Comment below and let me know. Okay, let that go. The green is going to be, that's really intense. Finish that on the side there. Oh, that's pretty. Dripping there. So wherever the stone is wet, that's where the paint's going to go. You just got to make sure you have enough moisture in there. picked up a little bit of yellow. And other than putting the wrong colors on, like taking colors that are opposite on the color wheel and mixing them together, there really is no wrong way of doing this. But you can see I'm going back and forth, not overworking the area. I love the magenta. I'm liking what's happening here. Loving what's happening here. And I think I'm going to take the blue and put a bit more blue here. A bit more blue here. And I'm going to leave that like that. All right. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my heat gun. Now you don't want to take your heat gun. You want to let this dry naturally. But to save time, I'm going to take my heat gun. I'm going to dry this. Now the reason why you don't want to use your heat gun is because the stone gets really, really hot. And it takes a while for it to cool down. And you want to paint on it when it's cooled off. I'm going to add another layer of paint. So I'm going to spray the top. Make sure the sides are sprayed. Loving how that's going down there. And go right into the blue right away. I want to brighten up the front a little bit more with yellow. And it's all going to drip right underneath. But I'm loving that intensity of the magenta. Really loving that. Loving that. Okay. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to put this aside. And I'm going to get my little sketchbook. And this is just another project I'm working on using chaos as inspiration. I want to have a childlike drawing of a cat carrying a balloon. And I've got a duck. So the idea I'm having for the daisy, so if I picture the stone, so let me just sketch the stone out. So the stone is roughly that shape. So my idea is basically just to have like a rough center like that. And then the petals would be like this, but not a perfect teardrop petal like this. Is you make them kind of wonky a little bit. That, and then another one. And then you can make another one here. And you can make a little one here. But you can see that you just kind of, just like this. So you can go all the way around and then you can fill them in after, like this. Just make sure they're different shapes and stuff like that. And then so I've got that sketched out, and then I'm going to go over with the Staedtler Permanent Special, the Lumicolor Permanent Special, which is permanent on non-porous surfaces. Now, mind you, the stone is porous, but there's a layer of paint on there. So the idea that I'm having is to base this white, and then come in on the petals with champagne gold, and the middle with splendid gold. We'll see what happens. I don't know if it's going to work, but we'll see. But that's basically what I'm going for. Giving the bottom of the stone a bit of a cleanup. But look at that. That is gorgeous. That is gorgeous. Let's clean that up a little bit. So basically you do this until you're happy with it. And do multiple layers as well. Make sure that's nice and dry. Put that over there. Okay, get rid of that paint. So I'm gonna find a position that's kind of nice, right, like that. And I'm just gonna sketch the oval. Now as well, once you do this sketch here, you can put a layer of, let's say, matte medium on this to seal the graphite, and then you can come back over with the pencil. And let's just draw the petals. Now, I'm just showing you this with graphite. I would go right in with the pigment liner. But if you're not sure, because you can always erase them if you're not sure. nice if you can make them different shapes. And take advantage of the shape of the stone. Like that. So that's what I'm going for. So that's fine. So I'm going to come in now with my Permacolor, my Staedtler Permacolor, my Staedtler Lumacolor Permanent Special. Oh my god. So it comes out really dark like that. So you can turn around. Now there's two ways that you can do this. Once that goes on, that doesn't come off. So what you can do is sketch it with graphite, and then you can paint it, and sketch it with graphite, the pigment liner, and then paint it, or just leave it like this, don't even bother painting it. But I want to do the painting first. So what I'm not sure is how well the Lumacolor, the pigment liner, is going to adhere on top of the metallics. It's an experiment, so let's see. So because it's an experiment, I don't know if I'm going to actually leave this as abandoned art, because I really want to test it out. I don't like giving away art that's not gonna work. So what happens if we put the, I need a finer brush than that. So what I'm testing out is what happens if I just use the metallic paint without priming with gesso first. You know, that base. Because the metallics are transparent. It shows through the color. It shows through. So if we did gesso, again, it's all about experimenting. If we did gesso first and then painted the petal, and even sketching it out you really don't need to do. This is just for you to, if you're not sure, if you've never freestyled the daisy before. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing. So I'll do one and then I'll show you, and then you can choose how you want to handle that. But the daisy petals basically is just touch, push, lift. And it is going to require a few layers of paint. Or a few layers of gesso. And you can use just titanium white if you want, but I like using gesso because it is porous. So just to show you different. And you know what? Try them all. Try all the options. Waiting for me to come running. Big flash of lightning. You know what I saw? Oh, you guys should Google it. Is it Iceland? A glacier broke apart and they filmed it happening. Oh my god, it was wickedly awesome. Sad, but really amazing. Alright, so let me just put another quick layer on this. Also, here's another idea. Put the gesso on super thick so it acts like a dimensional product. I should write this stuff down as I'm doing the videos, because then I never run out of ideas. By the time I'm done this, the other one will be dry and I can show you what the metallics look like on that. But this way, you know, you don't have to, if you like a particular technique, then you can invest in the products to do those. But then, you know, that way you're not buying something blind without trying it. You can actually see it. Because I would hate for you to buy a product that you're never going to use. And I know there's some of you out there. So here's a question for you. Comment below. What products do you have in your studio that you've never used yet? You bought them, but you haven't used them. Now, I don't want to hear about a product you just bought yesterday. I'm talking, let's say, 3 months, at least 3 months old. Something you've had for at least 3 months that you haven't used yet. And I know there's some of you out there. Oh, I'm going to do the center as well. I'm thinking for me, thinking of what I have. Oh, I've got these micro thin, it's a pad of wood. So think of like a little pad of paper, but it's wood. Micro thin sheets of wood. Like we're talking paper thin sheets of wood. It's an actual pad that I picked up at Lee Valley. Super pricey, and I'm afraid of you using it. Okay, so I'm going to find a petal here. And I'll paint that where the gesso is. And then I'll let that dry, then paint another layer. The metallic paints are transparent, so don't worry too much about the layers because we're going to be outlining them anyways. But always start from the outside, touch, push, lift, and you're lifting up towards the center so you get that nice tapered point. And if you're a student of mine, you know what stroke that is. My airplane stroke. So that should be easy for you to remember. And while I'm here, I'm going to put another layer. And this is the unprimed petals. You see they're really dark. Okay. So it does have a lot of shine. But completely up to you. But the whole purpose of this particular stone is the shine. Because the eyes always focus on shine. Alright, so I'm going to let this dry. I'm going to come, then I won't do it on camera, but let it dry. I'm going to add another layer of metallics, let it dry, another layer of metallics, let it dry, and then enough until I get it really, really opaque. The center, that thick gesso part, I'm going to let that fully dry, and then I'll come in and repeat the same steps with Splendid Gold. Alright, so I was filming where I was outlining the daisy. Because I'm blind as a bat, I had my head so close. All that was being filmed was the top of my head. I'm really sorry, so I'm going to just show you the stone. And then I half varnished it so you can see the difference. So I'll just go down to the table. So there we go. So all I did was I just took my liner and I just went on the outside. And I was literally like this close because I took my glasses off and I was this close. All you saw was my gray hair. So I just went on the outline and just went over the petals. And then, just so you can see the difference, so this is unvarnished here. So you can see how flat it is. And then that's varnished right there. But it looks really, really wet. And basically with the varnish is I have a special brush that I use. And follow the directions on the varnish. I mean, you can use whatever finish you want. And you're just... Once your stone is 100% dry, and so what's best is multiple light, even layers. If you put varnish on that's too heavy in hopes to save time, you're not going to because the varnish is going to be so heavy. All that's going to dry is the top. The inside isn't going to cure properly. And when you shake your varnish, shake gently, let it sit so there's no bubbles. Now the other thing that you can do is if you're sure that this is going to be an indoor stone, is using a spray varnish. And for myself, I would love to use a triple thick spray for that, and it works out really nice. So let me just pick that up. So there we go. So that. So I'm sorry that you didn't get to see my head, but so that's one version of the meditation stone. So if you think of it now, that once this is sealed and everything, and I'm going to put probably another 3 layers of varnish on this, that you can, before you're varnishing, come in with a brush, put some petals in. That's completely up to like the little lines of the petals. But what I'm going to do is the idea of actually using the paper, okay, to collage on a stone, and it's going to be super wrinkled. So it's just a matter of just finding a way that works. Repeat the same exercise, but for that exercise I was thinking about I may still use the metallics, but I've got some pearlizing medium, which I can take paint and then make it shiny to see what that looks like. So that'll be an interesting thing. I'm trying to think now if I've missed any steps. No, I think I'm good. Like in the other video. Yeah, I think I'm good. Alrighty, so that's it. So the whole thing with the stone, this whole exercise, it shouldn't take more than 10-15 minutes. But the drying time, we're talking really good drying time. Don't rush that process. Don't use a heat gun, especially on stones. Fine for video purposes to save time, but let the whole thing work naturally, especially the varnishing, because the varnishing is key to seal everything in the stone. So top, let it dry a day, flip, you know. So if you do a whole bunch of these, and they're great for selling as well, especially in the summer months. If you go to jury craft shows or something like that, these are great to sell. So do them in batches. So you do everything gesso at once, then flip gesso. So you do a whole bunch at the same time, almost like an assembly line, and then do the background. That'll be dry. Flip it over. Do another background. Flip it over. So and you can do an entire set. I would say painted beginning to end with the daisy and the collage. You could do probably 50 stones in one day. And then you take the rest of the week for the varnishing. So you varnish one layer, let that dry overnight. Or, well, depending on your environment, then you flip the other side, let it dry. You just flip. And then they're good to go. All right. So I hope that you enjoyed this. I think I asked a couple of questions in the video, so don't forget to comment below. Let me know the answers to those questions. And so I'm now going to prepare to do the alternate version with the tissue paper that Allison sent me. So until I see you in that video, stay inspired.